we got a good fire burning over there. We're gonna have to get over there too. What we're doing out here is we're burning these rice fields off, and we're getting rid of the stubble. We're not gonna get rid of all the stubble, but we are trying to reduce the amount of it because rice straw has a lot of silica in it. It doesn't really contribute a lot to organic matter. A lot of the organic matter comes out of the roots and all, which we're not gonna destroy those. I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna loop this field and start this side, probably come down the middle. We may make 2 passes through the center, and then we're gonna go far side, and then we'll let it create its own wind, and it'll sweep across this field, and we'll be done with it. So, you know, we're gonna keep going. It's getting a little smoky where we're at, so we'll just keep on moving, and we'll burn some more and talk about it again here in a minute.
I've got a gut feeling this is gonna be a good year. The farmer is the eternal optimist.
We farm together as a family. If we all put our heads together, I don't know what we couldn't achieve.
Hopefully we hit 90 bushel. I think we could do it. Just have healthy plants and a good return on investment.
One of the worst things about farming is making a decision on planting depth. 1/4 of an inch on your depth, sometimes you won't get a stand.
As you can see, my pinky ring's empty, so obviously I didn't win. With this class of guys that's in Podfathers, I mean, anyone could win.
We've got rain coming. These fields have got to be worked. We rutted them up during harvest. It rained on us about every 2 or 3 days, it seemed like. We're just reducing the amount of biomass. People want to say, you know, well, all this smoke going up in the atmosphere, that's a terrible thing. It's a lot of pollution, but the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that we're putting into the atmosphere with this smoke is so much less than if we were to leave all this straw out here and to allow it to decompose over winter in this water. And through the fall in this water and heat and the greenhouse gases, you know, the carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide emissions that would be given off during this period of time. I don't like it, but I do like the fact that it's, you know, it's done, it's gone, it doesn't sit here all winter and hurt the environment more than what we do.
The sun's out and the wind's blowing. The day's not that great, to be honest with you. I'm messing with him. It's been kind of hazy and the moisture's high. So we'll just do the best we can.
I'm gonna do whatever I'm told. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do today.
So what's going on today, and we had 1,600 acres of beans desiccated. So we felt like we would be majorly cutting when y'all got here. We started cutting yesterday again, had 5 machines in there, and moisture started out pretty good and got up as far as 18%. So we had to completely stop everything. We finally hunted a 90-acre field down we could cut. But then basically we cut everything that was of the right moisture to go to the elevator yesterday. We had 5 machines and 13 trucks, and all of a sudden you stop and go to trying to hunt another field to cut. So everybody's asking questions, and when are we gonna start? Where do we need to park? What are we gonna do here? And you can't answer all those, you know, because you don't know what you're gonna do either. And so it kind of puts you in a little tizzy there when that happens. During harvest, every hour we're setting costs us probably $600 or $700. If we have to stop for an hour and everybody's sitting idle, it's probably $600 or $700. At minimum, I'd say is that much. So that's why I'm kind of a fanatic about making sure everything's moving all the time. We probably could have hunted around yesterday and found, you know, 100 acres that was at the 16 range, but we already had so much of that in the bin already. You only put so much in there at that. The cool thing about it is the pods are brown the plant's green, and that's what you're looking for. You know, if you can get, same thing with corn, we struggle with that on corn, but if you can have a green plant with a mature fruit, that means you did everything you could to make the fertility right. Your worst field is always gonna be the first one you cut because it's weaker, you know, so the moisture drops on it faster. Your higher yielding fields normally are some of the last you get to cut because they're so healthy, you know, it's harder to get them dead, I guess you would say. All right, so let's go to the bins. I gotta get some tickets ready so we can dump some trucks. Let's go there, then we'll go from there to the field.
At the church lot right now, it's all the harvest equipment and all of the litter crew equipment, Sarah.
Oh, yeah,
That's absolute, there ain't no place you can put nothing in that lot right now.
I would say 95% of the corn's cut in this area. Probably not even 0.5% of the soybeans are harvested. 0 cotton, but I would say probably 60% of the rice is cut. So it's been going pretty good. You know, I'd have come through here, didn't really do the damage that was expected, so we were very blessed with that. What you got there?
Some fried chicken.
Did you get me any?
Well, yeah, I always bring you food, don't I?
Y'all think you go cut the plot here in a minute? We'll do a few more other things, let it dry just a little bit.
Yeah, I think 1 o'clock, man, because it was wet out there this morning.
What's wet every morning?
I know. Whatever you think, you run this show.
Well, I'm just thinking that the moisture will be good. There's a certain amount of moisture that you want to go because of the shrinkage at the elevator. But the higher moisture that you can cut, the less shatter you'll have. You don't really want them to get to 10 or 11%. Because then you're shattering more, you're not shattering more than you're making, but you're shattering a high percentage of it.
I'm Regina Bullock. I do the plots, I do soil sampling, I do tissue sampling. I do just about anything I'm asked to do pretty much. I've been here 6 years.
On soil sampling?
Just on soil sampling.
We just kept adding stuff to her job. Now she's got more to do than any of us do. Now where we're cutting today is just some of our normal production ground. That's all we've got, you know, really available with the moisture not too high. It sounds like we're bragging, but we've got the most 95 bushel an acre fields I've ever seen. The whole field will cut 95, but you can't find a 100 bushel block. But that's way better, in my opinion, than having an 80 bushel an acre field and find a 100 bushel spot. They're trying to put out our litter and we got all of our stuff parked in the field.
Estes Concaves has made a big difference for us. I would safely say we've increased our capacity by 1,000 bushel per hour.
Guaranteed to get it done right there. I will win.
Give Estes a try.
I'm very fortunate that I've been working with Concept Agritech now for 4 years. We have 12 Concept Agritech plots out right now. We feel like we're picking up some pretty good bushels.
Oh, here's one of their flagship products here. This is their Calbor product. It's their calcium boron premix. They do have a great line of products here. Man, this is like drinking water. I think every crop needs a gallon or two of it. It's just, it does that much for you.
So this is where the intercropping was last year. So it was 60-foot corn, 120-foot beans, 60-foot corn, 120-foot beans. So on some of this ground, it's beans after beans. And what I can't get over is just a yield difference between running after beans and then running where it's after corn. There's a pretty big significant yield difference between that so far. I'm really surprised by it. You know, we always knew there was a loss by going beans after beans, but I guess I just didn't imagine it was this drastic of a loss. If you didn't know, I mean, there's still really good beans, don't get me wrong. So I guess if you never had a side-by-side to see really what it is, you never think anything was wrong. You just thought, you know, that's the best we could do this year. But kind of having this odd intercropping field from last year, you know, we're getting to see a true side-by-side of, you know, beans following corn and beans following beans. So it's been a real interesting trial, I guess you can call it. Some of the best trials are the ones that you never meant for a trial. But we're going to get a lot of good data from it this year. This is where we did the crosshatch with the sundial plot this year for the beans, contest beans. I think it was July 28th is when we had the bad windstorm come through. We lost a grain bin right over there to our left, actually 3 grain bins. We also got 4 inches of rain in a matter of no time. This field was looking great. It's still yielding really, really good. I'm not trying to complain, but when you look on the ground, you just see all the branching, all the stems that fell off. And we immediately seen that once we started walking the film after the storm. They were all just broke down. So there's a full R3 going into R4, about the worst time possible you could ever have a windstorm come in. When we was walking this field earlier this year, you know, we were showing you guys all the branching and how well it was looking all the way through. And you can see the scars on the beans where all the branching were. Now they're just single line beans, pods only on one side. That's from when they get blown over by the wind and they're pushed over like this, they only get sunlight to one side. So when beans cannot capture and they're shaded over, this is what happened. So then, you know, we're still getting a good yield. It really makes you wonder what could have been from it. Like I said, we had a good year with Mother Nature. It was just one storm. You know, the people from the Dur Echo out in Iowa last year, I mean, they had it a lot worse, and there's been a lot, you know, worse windstorms to hit, but this is just one where we had to contest beans and one where I really didn't want a windstorm to happen, but it definitely did. But I think we'll still be okay with it. I'm still happy with it. What we're looking for, you know, is a cluster of beans per node like this. You know, that's really what we're looking for. We want 5, 6, 7, 8 pods per node on these. And when they're laid over and they're shaded, they just can't get sunlight. Sunlight's what's gonna make the beans. So these went down early. They what would be called lodged, but it's not lodged from population or anything like that, just from wind. They're just wind blown over. So that's would be our limiting factor this year with this field. We do have a couple other fields that are looking really, really good. So if this one doesn't pan out, I think we got a couple backups. We've had some pretty good beans within the years past, and this was by far something that I've never seen before. So to lose it, you know, just stinks. You know, the competitive in you, you know, just want to do the best you can. It just stinks watching it go down. And having to watch it go down, I've actually been dreading harvesting in this field. I'm actually ready to just get it over with so I don't have to drive by it every single morning, because I literally go to the shop down this laneway every single morning. And I was so excited, and then it turned into a real sombering drive. So I'm ready just to quit looking at it, tired of looking at the flat beans, get it over with and move on. It's been a pretty smooth harvest, so knock on wood that we can keep everything rolling here. One of the bigger reasons this harvest has gone so much smoother is, we got 2 Fendt T9s over there. They've just been pumping the grain. And we're actually producing more bushels than what we have in the past. They don't lack for power, that's for sure. I've been very pleased with everything. We want the bottom canopy to be healthy with a good fungicide. We use Revitec on it. It's really going to help that bean finish off strong.
But on our farm, we got to average a 6 bushel better with the Revitec fungicide than any other fungicide.
Probably absent of disease just because we've got the Revitec out here, but just mainly for the plant health.
The one thing that is a must, that's this product right here. Reducing stress adds bushels. Like I said, very few times do you meet people in your life that you can consider a hero to you or a mentor. And watching him, a lot of what I know, he's taught me. We kind of got in this litter deal by mistake. We had a landowner that wanted some litter out, and I wasn't even gonna fool with any chicken litter. Back then I was a little more closed-minded, not as open-minded to different kind of new agriculture techniques. I was doing it like my dad done. And we had a mutual friend that had chicken houses, and Mike ended up taking the business. Started 1 litter buggy. How many you got now? 9 litter buggies. Nice John Deere tractors he runs them on. Probably the best, most accurate litter applicator there is in this state. I'd say in the Delta. Litter is something you can't measure like you can synthetic fertilizer. You just got to hope it comes out right, and you've got to have someone that's really behind each application, knowing that it's coming out right and adjusting and tweaking. And he procures it,
Cleans it out.
Cleans the houses, loads the trucks, hauls it to the farm, picks it up off the farm like they're doing over here and puts it in the field. Not only is it great for the crops, but it's helping the environment too by getting rid of a byproduct that normally would have to. Now, what'd they do with it?
They put it on pastures and got too much phosphate and polluted the streams, and
yeah,
it was overblown in one area. Matt keeps the turn rows smooth. He makes it where the equipment can operate easily. He waits for us to put out the litter before he works the field, because it's impossible to get a good application if the field is disc and rough and you're beating across it. It's garbage in, garbage out, or you have good inputs, you get real good results. And I consider Matt the most loyal ally and friend and honorable man that I've ever dealt with. And we have never had a disagreement about $1 in that time frame. And that's pretty awesome. It's what happens when you love somebody and do the right thing every time. We're going to be preaching real quick.
That's kind of our motto, though, do the right thing.
That's right.
I've heard you say that many a time, do the right thing. All right, I'm going to get on the cart. You're going to go over and jump on the combine, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to pick me out a cart. One thing I've got is a great family of people that get this done. This ain't nothing that I do. I mean, like I said, you got Daniel 16, Juan 18, and Guzman 35. So it takes that kind of dedication. With this operation wouldn't run without them, I can promise you that. So this guy right here is a huge part of the success of this farm. This is AJ Bowling. I know you don't like being on camera, but I told him we was gonna come in here and surprise you. I told him what time you get here at work, what time you leave, and how much dedication you have. And I also figured up right now today you have 360 tires rolling. That's not counting all the extra trailers we got parked. That's just trucks and trailers that are rolling today. So he has to keep all those going, all the flats fixed, all the air conditioners going, and listen to all the complaints. Whatever you need done, that man can get it done. So I just wanted you to be on the show once, because you're always in the backdrop and nobody ever gets to see what you do. We've been through a lot together, I will tell you that. If I get in a bind, if you get in a bind, you need to go to war, you get in the trenches, take AJ with you. He's a family. He's not just a friend, he's family. You see how dirty he is. That's what he likes to do. I mean, If he ain't under a piece of equipment and he's clean, something's wrong. I'll just tell you, if he ain't got grease somewhere on him, something's wrong. Or he's asleep, one of the two. That's what I stress so much and what I love so much about my job. I'm about to get emotional, is the family atmosphere, the people, the dedication. You know, I never want people to think that I'm taking credit for any success we've had. First, it's God. I mean, everybody knows that. And then, I mean, Rob's standing behind you. He sacrifices his family for this operation. You know, everybody does. Like I said, them guys on H2A guys, I mean, they're away from their kids for 10 months a year, every year for 16 years, 18 years. I mean, they get to see their kids grow up 2 months a year. And they don't want to go anywhere else. They want to come here. You know, and I was telling them the other day, my goal in life is when I die, for there to be standing room only in the funeral. That means I made a difference in somebody's life or they wouldn't be there. If there's standing room only in my funeral when I die, then y'all will know that, you know, I may or may not see it, but y'all will know that I felt like that was my goal in life.
Well, one of two things. That's either true or they're glad to see you finally be gone.
One of the two?
Yep, it's either gonna be a funeral or a celebration. But I'll show y'all here's the chapel that we plan on burying him in right in here. This is where we're gonna hold the funeral at. So it won't take very many people to fill this little chapel up.
With the soybeans with Terramax, we brought it out and instantly, man, I just couldn't believe the nodulation we had so early. Look at that. That root, look how much nodulation is already on there. And you have these little peanuts all the way down here that deep in the soil, around the roots here. That's a very good start. If you haven't heard of them, you better get to know them because their products are here to play.
We got some Monty's product. We use it in a lot of other crops. It's a changer. Monty's.
That's what our carbon and the AgriSuite is doing, is breaking down that phosphorus that's in the soil and making it available to these plants, and it's showing.
We focus on things that complement soil biology, things that complement soil health.
Monty's liquid carbon, it just keeps giving back.
This was the best advertisement for ADS right here off this highway. You wouldn't believe the call. I get 5 or 6 calls a day from this highway when they started bringing this tile in. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
How's that gonna work? I said, well, I don't know if it's gonna work, but if it works, you're gonna want to do it.
Yeah.
You know. Hey guys, coming to you today from Desha County, Arkansas, McGee. We got a real special project going on here, Lane and I do, with some underground drainage. It's called tile. Pattern tile is actually what it's called. And we think it's the first pattern tile that's ever been installed in the Arkansas Delta. Here with the Podfathers today. And we've got another special guest coming. One of my really good friends is gonna come kind of check out what we're doing. He's very interested in doing the same thing. And there he is. What's up, dude? How are you?
How's it going? Well, the ride here was worse than the flight.
Even though he has a ponytail, he's one of my best friends. I'm gonna get that on out there right now.
He's just jealous.
Yeah, because I have nothing. So now, what do you think?
Glad to be here. Boy, perfect day. Y'all are a little further along than my farm. We're still just a little bit past midway on soybeans. I don't know. You're probably 2 weeks ahead maybe, which is about right.
Yeah, it's about normal. The thing about this field, and I was telling some of the guys earlier, June 16th or so. The water was about this deep right here.
And y'all, that's when y'all got to, some places got up to 20 inches?
Yep, 21 inches.
About a mile that way.
A mile north of here.
Wow.
We sat here and watched it. Actually,
so it all had to come this way?
Yeah, it come
Flow.
out that canal right there. Some of our cotton rotted, you know, the bottom
Bowl
bowl
rot.
rotted on it. But we shredded this field in July. So we had corn with ears on it here and ended up having to shred it. And, which
Wow.
was a perfect time to get it ready to do this.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about this project. I've been considering this for years now, and no one's ever told me that it would actually work in the Delta. So I came down here, I want you to tell me all about it. Maybe ADS can explain what you can't explain to me, because I'm seriously considering putting in about 165, 70 acres.
Well, see, Chad had his installed this spring. So he's already got his in place and got a crop on it.
He's got a jump on it. Is he happy with it? I haven't talked to him about it.
Yeah, so far he is, as far as I know.
I hope this works, because there's a lot of opportunity for tile in the South. Even if you're just draining the bottoms of leveled fields, I think that would be a big thing.
And having ADS to do it, I mean, they're kind of a household name to us, kind of like Walmart is to a regular person.
Been around a while, very reputable, so.
Yeah, we're excited
Yeah,
about working on
I'm
it.
sure. So do you want to tell me a little bit what they're doing?
Right now they're laying the main line. And see, that's the neat thing about what we're doing. We're not only trying to drain it, but now we're going to see if we can pump water back in it with the lift station and irrigate out of it too.
Yeah, and I think that's almost opposite what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to increase that root zone. I mean, if your root zone is only effective as deep as the fence post rot, let's drop it on down, which would be 6 to 8 inches. Let's see if we can get it to 10 to 12 inches. I mean, that increases your root zone exponentially. So,
which increase your yield.
Yeah, it should. I mean, yeah.
The reason why the Sharky clays don't yield with the sands is because one thing, they're going to be planted later, 2 weeks later, because they're wetter, and then they don't drain. So, you know, when you get a 2-inch rain where it runs off of that field over there and just a little bit, you know, here it may sit here for 2 days.
Yeah, plus the fact with the clays are holding all the nutrients, so.
Right.
And the microbes are waterlogged, so they're not really doing their thing.
They're anaerobic.
So, you know, it's got to be a win-win if it'll work.
All right, we can't travel here anymore.
No, because it's going to be basically a pipe. It's coming over the ground into that.
All right, so if this didn't work and we hooked up the poly pipe and it's going to run like that, we have no way to get.
Yeah, you would have to either come,
We'd have to come back around this other side. I guess we could
we
turn around. So if we can make it where we can get across there, we will. If we can't, then we'll.
Yeah, there's a solution to be had, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Yeah, so we'll go kind of lay it out on how it needs to set, so that way you can get equipment back and forth.
If the subsurface works, if the irrigation works, we'll no longer have to have rows here. You know, because you think, well, you got to have the rows because it's such muddy soil.
Right.
Well, if it's draining it off and we can plant this flat, then we can drill different stuff. We can drill beans, you know, put them on 15 inches. We don't have to worry about the wide row 38 to get our irrigation through.
So what I'm curious is to see, obviously we're doing, on this field, we're doing corn, beans, over at least, we're looking 3 to 5 years, right? So we've got corn, beans, and rice, because I want to see, you know, if you can subsurface irrigate rice, not flood it, but keep that soil soupy enough to where it's going to do the weed control you want. And then how much water are you able to save by not having to flood the rice field, and what does it do for that weed control?
Flooding of rice is for weed control.
That's right. 90% of it. Yeah, it
So
don't really
now that
like
we've got
water.
better chemistry out there for rice, broader spectrum of weeds plus residual, you know, you don't have to keep it flooded.
You just need to keep it sealed. See, we let it get completely down to muck before we pump it back up.
Again.
Well, used to, you didn't do that.
Sure. really excited about this.
It's gonna look like a mess for a while, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's what I wonder.
This is one of those deals.
This main they put in, how long does it take for that to settle? That's the question I'd have.
So, according to the powers that be, 30 days. Everything will be completely settled in about 30 days.
So you get this in, you just let it lay all winter?
That's what I'm thinking.
What Brian will tell you, what he begged Chad not to do. He said, please just let it settle. The best thing that can happen is you let it settle, you get a good rain, and then you work it in. He was in a different scenario because we were, middle of
trying
summer.
to get a crop.
Right, and you don't have contractors just available down
when
here.
Did Chad put his in?
June, yeah.
June, and he still got a crop in?
We put wheat beans on. They were July beans.
Mm-hmm. What I'd like to see happen is not only do you get that same assumption of 30% yield bump across corn and bean crops, but also getting you guys in the field earlier, because that's going to be a double. So in my mind, you can stack those benefits.
There.
Exactly. So it's not just the yield advantage from drainage; it's also the yield advantage that you're going to have by being able to plant earlier.
If you're 30 days earlier, it's 20 bushel. That's proven. The thing about it is, if it doesn't work, we haven't lost anything.
Nope.
And if you don't try, you never know.
That's right.
Ask Lane about peanuts.
Hey, drainage is good on peanuts.
Man, I'm telling you, it looks stout.
By the way, just saying, drainage is good on everything. Design done by Ecosystem Services Exchange, right? So we got 37 acres here, and with the full layout, we're looking from an irrigation, a subsurface irrigation perspective back through the drain tile. So this is where his well is, so this is where his water source is coming from. And this is the irrigation line we're putting in, correct?
That is correct.
And then we're tying in to the drain tile, technically, that we're gonna utilize in order to subsurface irrigate whatever crop we have on the field at this blue triangle, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's why we went short right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so then the 3 and the 2 are the subsurface inline water gates, which is essentially an underground water control structure that has pressure gates, pressure valves, if you will.
Yeah, it works on hydraulic pressure, and it basically artificially raises the water table 12
inches. Did you say
inches.
hydraulic pressure? Mm-hmm. Are they wired?
No, they're not wired. They're just using the head pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
water hydraulics. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's essentially going to automatically do what we want it to do from when we want it to flow this way, it's going to flow this way, and then we want it to backfill, it's going to backfill. Okay, good. And so then as we flow, because we're going with the grade of the field, right? So we're going from this end all the way here. So this is where our lift station is, the other end of the field.
That's the last control.
And that'll be your outlet.
Correct. So that's our outlet. So whenever we're irrigating, Matt, it's going to push the water here. This will be shut off, right? And will backfill that way up.
Just like filling the bottom levee on the rice field you were talking about earlier.
Correct.
Right. And so because we have to start here with the water because of the slope of the field, that's where this comes in, which is where Johnson Power System, so Kyle Hall and his team designed this. So this is your well that's behind us, right? And that PVC is going to feed into our other lift station, essentially, that we're using as our catch basin, right?
Yes, it would be used as a structure for a basin.
Right, and so this blue line right here is ground level, okay? And so the water's gonna dump into there. We'll be able to automatically, with our automation, control however we want to turn it on and off. Essentially, if you're saying that this line right here is our target water level, we're saying we're gonna start there, right? So that might be your target water level whenever you have beans or you have corn in the ground. That 10-inch solid main, single wall main, it says drain tile here, but essentially it is drain tile, but we're using it as an irrigation line. We'll feed into that, and that line is this purple line that's going to go into here and then disperse the water the way that we want it to go based on the levels that we've set.
And we'll be playing with those till we learn what they are, I'm assuming?
Well, they're going to have a recommendation for the crop and the soil type, right?
Gotcha.
Of where you're gonna wanna keep it for each thing. So when it comes, that's where it comes to that rice that we were talking about. So no one's ever flooded a rice field from the bottom up, right? And essentially, since we're not trying to flood it in the historical sense, we're trying to keep the soil saturated, or as you call it, sealed. Will this system allow us to get that water to pressurize high enough to where we are able to have that soupy ground texture in order to get the weed control that we want.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the outlet, we're going to basically set our water table. So if we want the water table to be 3 feet below the ground because we're growing soybeans or corn, we'll set it there. Those inline water gate valves will basically have it stair step because we have 2 feet of fall as we go across the field from the top end to the bottom end. So what we have to do is we have to basically artificially hold that water table up. So imagine it as a stair step, as Darla said. So the water will basically make 3 water zones, and those water columns won't know that the other one is lower. So we're basically tricking the water table to say, we've got a foot here, so we're 2 feet higher. We've got a 2 feet here, so we're 3 feet over here. So that way it stair steps up all the way across, because naturally water wants to neutralize and wants to level.
Yeah, go to the least resistance.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do, we'll set the water table. We said 3 feet for corn or soybeans. If we're going for rice, we'll set it right at surface level, and the water columns will basically fill from the top side. So we'll turn it on. It'll go through our irrigation line. These water gates will be open, and it'll actually feed down to the lift station, and then the water will start to back up, and we'll get to 12 inches here. That water gate will close and allow 2 feet to build up here, making a level, basically, water table.
Right, and then so it's pushing through the main and then spreading out on those laterals across the field at the height that it's supposed to be based on the elevation that you have of your field. When all is said and done, we're 10 years down the road. Would you agree he'll get 30% just on drainage alone?
17.
So that's drainage alone. We're not even talking about the subsurface
That's a 90 bushel average.
So my question was, what else does that change outside of just plant day? Does it change the variety that you pick? I don't know.
This will change the whole concept of sharky clay soils if it works. And what you've done already at Mississippi State and over at Stoneville, from just the pictures proves that, in my opinion.
So one thing on the drainage side and pairing that with subsurface irrigation, you mentioned an anaerobic environment, that when it's flooded, it's in an anaerobic environment. So by flooding it with a drainage system, you're basically you're taking your lower water table, you're bringing it up, and you're using capillary action, which is wicking water up to the root zone. So you don't actually push oxygen out of that root zone. So that root zone continues to grow, bush out, and becomes basically a healthier plant.
To your point about the misconceptions about drainage, is that like you're just pulling the nutrients away from the plant? No, we're slowing down that loss of nutrients, because that plant, as it's wanting to take in those capillaries, it's wanting to take more and more water in, it's bringing the nutrients with it.
Well, and you also can, what we've had to do here, we're raised bed on everything for irrigation. Yep. Even if this was pivot irrigated or flood irrigated, we'd put it on a bed because we got to get that plant out of that water.
Yep. Let it breathe.
Well, now we can have any kind of row configuration we want. If we want to drill the beans, if that's the way to go, and like corn, corn don't like wet feed at all.
Correct.
But most sharky clays will make, in our area, somewhere between 150 and 180 bushels of corn. That's max. We've hit 205 on this field one time since we started growing corn in 2006, and that was the year we made, 250, 260 on the field over here. So what if we can make 230, 240 on this field all the time? And then if you don't have to put it in rows, that's less tillage, more no-till. If the subsurface works, that's one of the problems we have, one of our challenges we face with no-till is we've got to have that open furrow to irrigate. Well, if we're subsurfacing this, we don't need that, then we can go into more no-till. There's a lot of different sustainability practices we can use here that we can't use with it being
Absolutely.
You know what they're gonna say, the next thing, it's always like, sharky clay is not like anybody else's soil. And now they can be like, look dude, you got drainage, now you can't be saying sharky clay is not like anything else's soil.
Exactly.
So you better get ready for your next excuse whenever.
Yeah, I won't have an excuse then. I'm hoping I don't. I've made a deal with several people, if I ever cut 150 bushel beans, then I'll put a 5-bean tattoo where Dan's got his corn tattoo. So
that's awesome.
I don't think I'll ever get there in my lifetime. Now Lane better not make that bet, but I could end up with a tattoo one day, but it's gonna be so high up here nobody can see it.
But no, the next thing y'all are gonna have to do is you're gonna have to wear a cutoff shirt, and then y'all gonna have to arm wrestle.
It's November 10th. We're cutting some beans today. Wait to see what the weights are, and hopefully everything's good.
Seed size, I don't feel like our seed size has been very nice this year. The yield's been good, but we've suffered in seed size. I'm not seeing it in test weight. We'll deal with that.
My problem is I gotta remember where the pivots are, because if I'm not paying attention, I'll run right into one. That'll wake us up.
If you take my two sons, them wanting to farm, maybe Madeline wants to do something with cattle, maybe they all bring strong attributes to the table. Everybody's strong in an area. It's very important that you strengthen them by letting them stay in those areas. That's what makes you successful. And then when you bring everything together, that's what makes it work.